Hello and welcome to the Audi A5. This is the second generation model which has new tech, new looks and a longer wheelbase. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently and start off with the rear space because surely it should be quite good. Maybe not. Now to be fair, I am a tall guy, I'm 6'2" and the driver's seat has been set for my height, but you simply cannot escape that there isn't a lot of space back here. Legroom is quite tight, although I do have a little bit, but not much. And because this car's got a swooping roofline, because it's a coupe, I've got no headroom. My hair is firmly rubbing on the roof lining. However, if you do want more space in the back, then you can of course have a look at the A4 Saloon. But the A5 Coupe, it'll be fine for children and smaller adults, but if you're medium to tall, like me, yes, you will find it to be tight. On the plus side, the boot offers a good amount of space. To be precise, it offers 465 litres, which is 10 more than its predecessor, but it's also 20 more than the BMW 4 Series and 65 more than the Mercedes C-Class Coupe. Very practical indeed. Now, as you would expect, there's more space to be had in the front, and the interior is a very nice place to be, as you would expect from an Audi. Oh, it's passing me my seatbelt. No, I'm not quite ready to drive yet, Jeeves. Stand down, stand down. Now, yes, front space is good. I've got a decent amount of headroom, and shoulder room and elbow room, as you would expect, is very good as well. Getting a good driving position is very easy. The steering wheel adjusts for rake and reach, and my seat is electronically adjustable, so getting yourself comfortable is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Now let's talk about cubby holes. Well, cubby holes are so-so in here. The door bins aren't massive, but you can fit a few small items in there. For example, I was just about able to squeeze this bottle of water in. You've also got 2 cup holders in the middle, a few cubby holes here, and of course you've got a glove box as well, which offers an alright amount of space, but I wouldn't call it gargantuan. However, this car has got a gargantuan amount of technology, albeit some of it being optional, of course, but it's just a simple tech fest in here. Now, this car's got the technology pack, which is an optional extra. It's £1,395, so it's not cheap. However, I would argue it's definitely worth it because you get the simply wonderful, gorgeous Audi virtual cockpit. So you get this lovely digital display in front of you, and it looks so crisp, and it looks really good. You also get a larger infotainment screen, so I've got 8.3 inches as opposed to 7 inches, which is what you get as standard. I also get a secondary Bluetooth slot, and I've also got a wireless phone charging pad. I've also got a few other packs as well, and quite a few optional extras. I don't want to spend too long talking about them, but I do also have the comfort and sound pack, which is £1,295, and that includes keyless entry, Bang & Olufsen sound system, as well as a few other goodies. But yes, there's plenty of kit in here, so much so that I could talk about it all day, but I'm sure you would much rather hear about how this car drives. So let's start the engine. Seatbelt, please. Oh, thank you. You are far too kind. And let's hit the road. So there may only be 2 trim levels, but when it comes to engines, you will be spoilt for choice, frankly, because you've got a choice of 6. Yes, that's right, 6. 3 petrol and 3 diesel. All engines are turbocharged, and if you want to start with petrol, you've got a 1.4 litre unit, which offers 148 brake horsepower, or you've got a 2 litre unit, which can either be had with 187 brake horsepower or 249 brake horsepower. But if you prefer diesel, you can have a 2 litre unit, which produces 187 brake horsepower, or you can have a 3 litre V6 engine, which produces either 215 brake horsepower or 282 brake horsepower. The engine I have is the 2 litre diesel, which isn't the most powerful out of the bunch, but even so, it packs quite a decent punch. As well as 187 brake horsepower, it's able to offer 400 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to a 7-speed S-tronic automatic gearbox and front wheel drive, meaning you'll hit 62 miles per hour in just 7.7 seconds and continue to a top speed of 146 miles per hour. This engine provides a good amount of pulling power. The power comes from quite low down and there's a good amount of mid-range grunt as well. It's very easy to make decent progress in this car. The S-tronic gearbox is again wonderful. It's as smooth as it is responsive. You really have to concentrate hard to realise when this car's changing gear. The A5 is able to offer no less than 5 driving modes. So you've got efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic and individual, all of which are quite self-explanatory. At the moment in time I've got it in auto. Let's slip it into dynamic, shall we? Why not? Frankly, it'd be rude not to. There we are, dynamic. And as you would expect, the car becomes tauter, it becomes firmer, it becomes more responsive, and above all, dynamic. If you want to change gears yourself, you can do so by either slotting the gear selector to the left and then pushing it and pulling it to change gear, or you can use the flappy paddles on the steering wheel. I've got it in dynamic right now and the changes are lightning quick. It's changing almost as fast as I can blink. But you can have this engine with a 6-speed manual gearbox if you prefer. However, I think given the cruising nature of this car, I would recommend the S-tronic gearbox because, yeah, it just makes life a lot easier. In dynamic mode, throttle response is improved, of course. The steering's heavier. As mentioned, this car is front-wheel drive, meaning it hasn't got Audi's famous Quattro all-wheel drive. But even so, there's still a good amount of grip on offer, which is quite good because it's quite wet today. However, what I will say is that when you push this car hard, you will get quite a bit of understeer from it. But I suppose that's not really uncommon for big Audis, is it? This car is super efficient and super capable at what it does, but as a byproduct of that, it means that, in my opinion, it's never really exciting or thrilling. Even when you're threading it through corners, it all just feels a little bit clinical. There's no sense of emotion there. There's no real feeling. It's just German efficiency at its best, which may be great for some people. And let's face it, this is an A5. If you want more thrills, you've got the S5 and the RS5. However, I can't deny that in the corners, this does perform well. It's got a good amount of grip. Steering's well weighted, even when you haven't got it in dynamic mode. Steering's also responsive. Brakes are strong, they're crisp. There's not much body lean as you go through corners. It feels very composed. This car is very good at what it does. It makes driving effortless. If anything, you get a sense that if it were given the choice, this car would drive itself. All it really needs is a pilot, a bag of flesh in the driver's seat to operate it. Now, as much as this car is fast and it can be dynamic, what it does best is what I'm doing now, cruising. This is the sort of car that could eat up mile upon mile on the motorway or whatever long trip you may need to do for business or whatever you will be using this car for. It just eats up miles as if it's breakfast. Now, let me slip it back into, let's pop it into comfort mode. Like so, quite nice and easy. And everything becomes supple, as you would expect. Speaking of supple, let's talk about ride comfort. Now, there are a few different suspension setups you can get in the Audi A5. The Sport model has got standard suspension. The S-Line comes as standard with sport suspension. However, this car, as an optional extra, has got the adaptive dampers, which would cost you £600. So if you're looking for my opinion on the sport suspension, I'm afraid I can't give it to you because I haven't got it. The adaptive dampers work very well, and even in dynamic mode, it's still quite comfortable. Yes, it's got a firm edge to it, of course, and when you hit potholes, you will notice them, but it's never really jarring. Now, the roads around here are quite a good test for comfort because they're not particularly great and they are in places a little bit battered. However, this car is making it very easy. I won't lie, I am noticing some of the bumps, but the damping is so good that I'm not unsettled by them, and it's still providing quite a smooth ride, which is pretty impressive, bearing in mind this car is riding on 19-inch alloys, which are another optional extra.
At this point, you may have heard me use the word optional quite a few times, and you may be wondering what on earth actually comes as standard. Well, let me explain.
So there are just two trim levels available for the Audi A5 Coupe, Sport and S-Line. Sport starts from £33,845 and is able to offer features such as 17-inch alloys, LED interior lighting pack, electronically adjustable front sport seats trimmed with leather, electric boot release, and you also get the 7-inch Audi MMI infotainment system with navigation and a 3-month trial to Audi Connect. And then of course you've got S-Line, which is the model I have here. It starts from £35,495 and is able to add 18-inch alloys, sport suspension, S-Line styling, LED headlights, LED rear lights with dynamic indicators. You also get seats trimmed with leather and Alcantara, stainless steel pedals and illuminated door sills. Now, I think it's about time we talk about fuel economy. So this engine on a combined run would normally offer me around 67 mpg and would emit 111 grams per kilometre of CO2. But because I've got the bigger alloys, it does fall down a little bit. So on a combined run, you can expect up to 65.7 mpg. And in regards to CO2, this car emits 113. Now, in my experience, I've been getting low 50s in regards to MPG, which isn't too bad, but it's not exactly groundbreaking, is it? Now, in regards to CO2, like I say, it's 113 grams per kilometre, meaning for the first year of VED, you'll be required to pay £205, and if you want this as a company car, benefit in kind is 26%. So in case you're shopping around, you'll be glad to know that the A5 is more frugal and emits less CO2 compared to the equivalent engine in the BMW 4 Series and the Mercedes C-Class Coupe. Let's talk about refinement. Now, as you would expect, there is plenty of refinement in here. Even though this car's got big alloys, there's not too much road noise. There is a little, but you don't really notice it, and wind noise is also kept to a minimum. Not only is road noise and wind noise pretty decent, but the engine, is it still on? Oh yes, it's still on. Good. Just making sure. The A5 may feel a little bit cold and a little bit clinical, but it does do a lot of things very well. It's a hugely capable and efficient machine, which makes driving effortless. It's comfortable, it's got a decent sized boot, it's got a great amount of tech, albeit with the help of some optional extras. It won't cost the earth to run, and it looks great as well. Okay, space in the back could be a little bit better, but if you're worried about such a thing, you can of course have a look at the Audi A4 Saloon. However, if you yearn for a smart premium coupe, then the A5 should definitely be on your short list. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, give it a massive thumbs up. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you aren't subscribed, guys, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe for more car obsession.